Welcome. Don't forget to subscribe to new stories every day. My name is Tyler, and if you told me a year ago that my marriage would end over a malfunctioning car battery, I'd have laughed in your face. Yet here I am, single again, all because my wife Fiona took gratitude to an unexpected extreme. The night it all austerity'd, it was a chilly Thursday evening. Fiona was on her way home from a friend's birthday dinner at some new bistro across town. She called me saying her car wouldn't start. According to her, the battery was dead. I offered to come help, but she laughed. "Don't be silly," she said. "The restaurant's only 15 minutes from home. I'll figure it out." I assumed she'd call roadside assistance or wave down a tow truck. Little did I know she found a more unusual solution. The first suspicious clue. When she finally got home, it was nearly midnight, later than I expected. She waltzed in with a faint grin on her face. I was on the couch, rewatching an old sitcom. I looked up. "Everything okay?" I asked. She shrugged, giving me a quick peck on the cheek. "Car's fine now. Some guy at the parking lot helped me jump it." There was a lightness in her tone, like she just told me about a cute puppy she saw, not a random stranger messing with her engine. I teased her. "You sure you didn't run off with your spark plugs or something? That's awfully trusting of you." She smiled but didn't elaborate. I let it go. Honestly, I didn't think much of it until the next morning when I found a small, greasy rag stuffed in our garage's trash can. Our cars are modern hybrids and never leak or require old-school rags. I joked to Fiona at breakfast, "You planning a second career as a mechanic?" She looked startled. "Oh, that's out from last night. The guy used that to wipe off the battery terminals or something." She said it too quickly, blinking a bit more than usual. My gut twisted with mild suspicion, but I told myself I was imagining things. A text NESSAGE that changed the EV right thing. A week later, Fiona stepped out to get groceries. Her phone pinged on the coffee table. Normally, I wouldn't snoop. We trusted each other, or so I thought. But I glanced at the screen and noticed a message from a number not in her contacts. "Hey, thanks again for the other night. You're truly sweet. Let me know if you ever need more help. Wes." My brow furrowed. Wes? I'd never heard that name. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but the winking face at the end set off alarms. "Thanks again for the other night." The other mag referred to the battery jump, or so I assumed, but that sounded more flirty than a typical glad-to-help text. When Fiona got home, I casually said, "You get your phone number out to a good Samaritan or something." She stiffened. "Why do you ask?" "Oh, I saw a text from someone named Wes. He was thanking you, I guess." Her cheeks flushed. "Oh yeah, he was the guy who helped jump my car. He asked for my number in case we needed anything else. Probably standard procedure, right?" She tried to laugh it off. The tension was so thick, you could cut it with a butter knife. I raised an eyebrow. Standard procedure to keep in touch with random car-jumping strangers. She forced a grin. He was lonely. He said he'd moved to town recently. Didn't know many people. I felt bad. That's all. I tried to lighten the mood. "So a pity friendship? You better tell him your husband might get jealous." She didn't laugh. Another red flag. "I see your ideas of OD encounters." Over the next 2 weeks, Fiona's routine changed. She'd go out for a walk around the block after dinner or run errands at odd hours. She'd come back cheerful, almost glowing. When I'd ask, "Where'd you go?" she'd say, "Just needed some air." One day, I noticed a sticky note on our counter with Wes' name and a phone number in Fiona's handwriting. My heart rate shot up. Instead of confronting her outright, I decided to keep an eye on the situation. I mean, come on, maybe it was all innocent. My mind tried to rationalize. She's just being nice to a lonely newcomer. She's that kind of person. But the pit in my stomach refused to settle. The jealous IP in town, we live in a friendly neighborhood. Too friendly, sometimes. News travels fast. One Saturday, I was mowing the lawn when our neighbor, Clarissa, wandered over. Clarissa's known for crocheting hats for everyone's dog and for meddling in local gossip. She cleared her throat dramatically. "Hey, Tyler, everything okay with your car? I noticed Fiona's been riding around with some new man. I just assumed your car was in the shop." My heart hammered. "New man? You sure that's not her brother or a coworker?" I tried to keep my tone casual, though I was certain my face was turning red. Clarissa shook her head. "No, definitely not her brother." She introduced him as Wes, tall, scruffy, had an old blue pickup. "I saw them pulling into the diner last Thursday. She said you were busy, so they decided to grab lunch." She paused. "I figured you knew." I forced a laugh. "Of course, she's just helping him settle in." "Thanks, Clarissa." My hands trembled on the mower handle as she walked away. I couldn't concentrate on the yard anymore. Lunch. Thursday. She told me she had a meeting with a potential client that day. The puzzle pieces fell into place, forming a picture I didn't want to see. The discovery that broke me. That afternoon, as Fiona napped, I snuck into our shared home office and booted up her laptop. A bit shady, I know, but my suspicion was at an all-time high. She left her email logged in. My stomach churned as I clicked on her sent folder, scanning subject lines that didn't ring any bells. Then I found an email thread titled car battery and more. My pulse skyrocketed. I opened it. The conversation with Wes spanned multiple emails referencing the back seat of his pickup, how she felt so sorry for him, and how the spark wasn't just with the battery. My face went hot with rage. She wrote about how he seemed so lonely, how she couldn't help it. I read lines that described in excruciating detail how she ended up making him feel better in ways I'd rather not elaborate. The color drained from my face. One email read, "Don't worry about Tyler. He's so busy with his own stuff he won't notice a thing." My chest tightened to the point I felt physically ill. She'd been telling him that I was clueless. I slammed the laptop shut, heart pounding in my ears. The entire house felt suffocating. Our framed photos on the walls, vacation snapshots, our wedding day, mocked me with illusions of a loving, faithful union. The showdown, I confronted her that evening. She was cooking spaghetti, humming to herself as if everything was normal. "We need to talk, Fiona." She glanced at me, reading the storm in my eyes. Her face went pale. "Tyler, what's? Who's Wes, exactly?" I demanded, voice trembling with anger. "And don't you lie to me. I saw the emails." Her spoon clattered onto the stovetop. You went through my laptop? You had no right." "Cut it out, Fiona. I saw everything. Couldn't help it. He was so lonely. Making him feel better? Do you really think I'm that stupid?" I realized I was yelling, but I didn't care. The pain needed an outlet. She stammered, "It was a mistake, Tyler. I never meant. He helped me." And then I felt sorry for him. He'd been through a bad breakup. He was a wreck. I offered comfort. It was just one time. Or, well, maybe it happened a couple times, but a couple times. I repeated, numb. She was crying now, tears rolling down her cheeks, but it felt hollow. "You basically gave him a sexual thank you for a jumpstart." She covered her face. "I don't know what came over me. He seemed so sad and alone. I didn't plan it, I swear. It just happened." I shook my head, disbelief mingling with fury. "You expect me to swallow that? It just happened? Did you think of me at all while you were hooking up with a random stranger who gave you a car jump?" She sobbed, reaching out. "Tyler, I'm sorry. I messed up. We can get past this." I recoiled from her touch. No, we can't. I can't. You went behind my back. You lied. You mocked me in your emails, telling him I'd never notice. Are you proud of yourself?" She collapsed onto a chair, burying her face in her hands. "It was a stupid, impulsive thing. I never wanted to hurt you. I was just caught up in the excitement of feeling needed." "Feeling needed," I echoed with bitter sarcasm. "Am I just furniture to you? You needed more than your own husband's devotion. My God, Fiona." She continued weeping. "I love you, Tyler. Please, let's fix this. I'll block him, I promise." I let out a hollow laugh. "Block him? That's it? You think deleting him from your phone fixes the betrayal?" My voice cracked with heartbreak. "We're done. I refuse to be the guy you cheat on because you pitied a lonely car jumper. The AFTERM88 and DIVORC. I left that night, staying in my brother's place. For 2 weeks, Fiona bombarded me with calls and texts, flip-flopping between apologies and accusations. She insisted that I was overreacting, that everyone makes mistakes, and that this was just a fling. She tried guilt-tripping me for snooping through her laptop as though that was the real sin here. But my mind was made up. I filed for divorce soon after. During the legal process, she cried a lot, claiming she would do anything to redeem herself. But trust, once shattered, isn't easily rebuilt, especially when the betrayal felt so bizarrely trivial. My lawyer was sympathetic but professional, making sure the division of our assets was straightforward. Fiona tried to negotiate, then threatened to tell everyone I was controlling, but I didn't care about public opinion. I just wanted out. We ended up finalizing the divorce a few months later, and I packed up my clothes, my keepsakes, the mementos of a life I thought we'd share forever. I even found the receipt from that day, the birthday dinner she attended before the battery fiasco. For a split second, a wave of nostalgia for simpler times swelled in me, but the memory was tainted now, like everything else. Moving on, it's been about a year since we finalized the divorce. I've relocated to a smaller apartment closer to work, which ironically has a better commuting route, so I guess that's a plus. I changed my phone number to avoid random messages from Fiona. Mutual friends occasionally ask me if I'd ever considered giving her another chance, and I respond with a polite but firm no. Strangely enough, I find myself grateful in a twisted way that the situation was so blatant. If Fiona was willing to sabotage our marriage for a random stranger who jump-started her car, who knows what else she was capable of? Better to discover the truth early than waste years stuck in ignorance. My sense of humor survived the ordeal, mostly intact. I joke with my buddies, if my next partner's battery dies, I'll be the one hooking up the jumper cables. Lesson learned, they laugh though a bit uncomfortably. But humor's how I cope, it helps me move forward. Fiona? Last I heard, she moved to another city, possibly started dating someone new. I hope she finds what she's looking for truly. As for me, I'm focusing on my own life, new hobbies, new dreams, a fresh start. I haven't found a new relationship yet, but I'm open to it. And next time, if I sense the slightest whiff of shady car battery stories, I'll be sure to keep my eyes wide open. Because if there's one thing I learned from all this, it's that life is too short to stay with someone who trades loyalty for pity-laced thrills. I'd rather stand alone, secure in my dignity, than be in a marriage that can be toppled by a dead battery and a lonely stranger. And that, I suppose, is the silver lining in this crazy fiasco, a love story.